Good morning and thank you for joining us. This is the weather hazard briefing for Wednesday, July 23rd. It's going to be dry across the area today, but we will get another round of isolated showers and storms with some gusty winds and lightning possible across the southern areas tomorrow. And temperatures will remain generally above normal with very limited precipitation chances as we get into the weekend and especially the early part of next week. Looking at the satellite from across the Pacific Northwest this morning, we do have some mid and high level clouds streaking across parts of eastern Idaho. These will likely diminish in coverage here as we get towards daybreak and certainly by the early afternoon hours, with mostly sunny skies expected for a good portion of the day today. Looking at our weather risk outlook, really no concerns today. Again, with those mainly clear skies expected. As we get into the day tomorrow, we will get some isolated thunderstorm potential across the southern part of the forecast area. Those storms will likely be of the dry variety, so mostly just expecting some gusty wind and lightning potential with that. And then as we get into the latter part of the work week and into the weekend, do have some isolated thunderstorm chances each day, mostly across the higher terrain of the central mountains. As far as temperatures are concerned today, they will start to trend upward. It was a little on the cool side for this time of year yesterday with some cloud cover around and some slightly cooler air in place, but as an area of high pressure builds over the area, starting today, these temperatures will return closer to where they should be for this time of year and then start to go well above normal by the time we get into the weekend and especially early next week. As such, with those climbing temperatures, our minimum relative humidity values in the afternoon will go down, probably stay above that 15% threshold today, but it will certainly drop well below that as we get into the latter part of the work week and especially into the weekend. Not expecting winds to be too problematic today, generally about what we typically would see around here during the afternoon hours, 10 to 20 miles per hour as far as winds are concerned for a good portion of the region, but we will have some 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts potentially across the Arco Desert as you head down towards Craters of the Moon and towards the Shoshone area. Not expecting any precipitation today, as I mentioned earlier. As we get into tomorrow, those temperatures do start to creep upwards by a couple of degrees. Basically, each day is kind of what we're expecting. Again, those RH values will drop accordingly, but wind isn't really going to be too much of a concern as we get into tomorrow and into the weekend. So not expecting any red flag conditions to be met during those days, but it'll certainly be dry, just a touch breezy across parts of the area. So certainly help to dry out those fuels even more here over the next few days. I mentioned we do have a very light or very low precipitation chance for tomorrow, mostly areas to the far south, basically from Pocatello south. Things look very isolated in nature, but certainly have some potential for at least some precipitation chances, again, likely of the dry variety. But for any fire weather concerns, certainly some gusty winds and lightning potential down across the south. As we get into Friday, that high pressure continues to slowly build and intensify across the region, so those temperatures climb well into the low 90s for most of the lower elevations, with mid to upper 80s expected for just about everybody else outside of the very high terrain across the region. So above normal temperatures expected, and that's generally going to be the trend through the weekend and certainly as we get into the early part of next week. As I mentioned a few times, with those warming temperatures, those RH values will drop during the afternoon hours. So again, drying things out even more across the area if that's even possible at this point. Winds not expected to be too much of a concern, generally about what we typically expect, 15 to 25 miles per hour for most of the area as far as gusts are concerned during the day on Friday. And as we get into Friday, and this graphic will be very similar for Saturday and Sunday, it looks like really the only area that with any potential for some precipitation will likely be across the Central Mountains up towards Lemhi County and along the Montana Divide Island Park area. So that's generally going to be the area with the best chances of seeing any shower, thunderstorm potential Friday, Saturday, and probably again on Sunday. But likely isolated, probably mostly dry thunderstorms. Temperatures cool down just a touch on Saturday, but they'll really start to ramp up as we get into Monday and Tuesday. A little far out in time to talk about those graphics or show those graphics, but what we're seeing now probably shows some potential for mid to maybe upper 90s across the lower elevations as we get into the early part of next week. So certainly looking quite warm across the area, and as we'd expect, those RH values remain very low during the afternoon time frame. And again, continued isolated high elevation thunderstorm potential as we get into Saturday. Above normal temperatures looking very, very likely in the 6 to 10 day as well as the 8 to 14 day outlook. Models are showing maybe some hint of some slightly better precipitation chances after, well, let's say the middle part of next week and into the latter part of next week, but I'm not going to buy into that too much just yet. So, but that's what the current precipitation outlooks shows nevertheless. But that's all I have for you. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.